Who are you when no one's watching? And who do you think you're supposed to be? The space between those questions, that's where so many of us live. Caught in that stretch. Always almost. Not quite. You wear a smile you practiced in mirrors. You answer questions too quickly, as if you're scared someone might notice the hesitation underneath. But late at night, when the lights go out and your phone dies and all your words run out, that's when it shows. The quiet ache of not living as yourself. The conflict between the person you think you should be and the person you are. Keep watching, because by the end of this, maybe you'll stop calling that war inside you failure. Maybe you'll see it for what it really is. Evidence that you're still trying to be whole. Sometimes we build ourselves like stories. A character, a timeline, a plan. We set the goals, imagine the success, fill in the gaps with borrowed confidence. It feels safer that way, to imagine we're just becoming, not unraveling. But what no one tells you is that the version of you you're chasing wasn't written by you. Not fully. Pieces of it were handed down silently, from things your parents praised, from people they admired more than you, from the way teachers smiled at the other kids in class. Some of it came from TV shows and anime heroes who always knew the right thing to say, who never stammered, never froze. Some of it came from envy, watching someone you love seem effortless in their skin while you wrestled with yours. You told yourself, if I can just become that version, I'll finally feel right. But do you? You think becoming your ideal self will fix the way you feel in the mirror. But the harder you try, the more disconnected you become. Keep going, because by the end, you'll know why this conflict doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're still real. We don't admit it, but our ideal self is often built in reaction to shame. Not in hope, but in rejection. We don't want to be better. We want to be different from who we are. Stronger usually means less sensitive. More confident means better at pretending. And more attractive just means less flawed. None of it is love. It's escaping. So when you look at who you are now and it doesn't match who you think you should be, you feel like a failure. But how could you not? You were never taught to look at your real self with softness. You were taught to critique it until it changed. But what if the stuck feeling isn't weakness? What if it's grief? And when that silence lingers, something inside starts to speak. There's a weight to wearing a mask for too long. You begin to forget where the mask ends and you begin. You start saying things that sound like what someone smarter would say. You laugh on cue, not because it's funny, but because that's what they expect. You take on hobbies you don't love, speak in a tone that doesn't feel yours, chase achievements that impress strangers but leave you empty afterward. You watch yourself from the outside. Did I say it right? Did I look okay? Did they like me? But rarely do you ask where you went in all of that. Microhook. When was the last time you felt like home inside your own mind? Because even when we're surrounded by people, we can feel unbearably alone. Especially when we're applauded for the persona we crafted, not the person we are. Praise starts to sting. Validation becomes a cage. You feel like you're winning at a game you never wanted to play. You're becoming the image, but losing the self. And that costs more than you realize until it's too quiet to ignore. You can't cry in front of them. They only know your strong side. You can't slow down. They only like your ambition. You can't stop smiling. They don't know your sadness. So you isolate while surrounded. You ache while achieving. It's a strange kind of pain to become everyone's favorite version of you and hate it. At first, the dissonance is subtle. You just feel tired more often. Socializing feels like performance. Rest doesn't restore you. You scroll through your own pictures and feel like a stranger. You watch yourself moving through life like a well-trained actor. But behind every movement, the question echoes, where am I in all of this? That disorientation sharpens with time. What once felt like ambition now feels like pressure. What once looked like confidence now feels like armor. You laugh, but inside you feel flat. You succeed, but the joy lasts seconds. You look in the mirror and realize you don't recognize the voice narrating your life anymore. Not because it's mean, but because it's not yours. It gets even trickier when the ideal version of you isn't bad. In fact, it's incredibly admirable. And that confuses you more. You wonder, if I am becoming everything I hope for, why do I feel more numb? The truth? Because sometimes your greatest achievement is your most effective disguise. When you're praised for growing into someone the world respects, you stop feeling permission to miss who you used to be. But you do miss them. The softer version of you. The one who didn't always have the right answers. The one who felt more, spoke less rehearsed, cried too easily, played without purpose. You learn to kill that version quietly. And now, every time you do something impressive, there's a faint mourning in the background. A memory of who you were before you began performing worth. Halfway through your day, maybe while washing dishes or walking home with your headphones in, you catch a flicker of honesty. A reminder. A line from a song that hits a little too hard. Or a scene in an anime, not the kind where the character screws up, not epically, but so normally it hurts. And it levels you. For a second, you see yourself again, not the curated parts, the childlike part, the not trying part. And it breaks you because it feels so far away. And still, unmistakably, you. Micro hook. Why does the version of you that makes the fewest people clap feel the most like home? There's a line we walk without even knowing it, between evolving and erasing, between growth and self-abandonment. But because growth sounds noble, we don't question the cost. We assume pain means progress. That discomfort is evidence of change. And yes, sometimes that's true. But not all pain purifies. Some pain just detaches us. Some discomfort takes us further from ourselves, not closer. There's a strange emptiness that grows when you're impressing everyone except your own soul. A quiet despair, almost invisible. But it colors everything. Food tastes dull. Music doesn't move you. You romanticize rest, but don't know how to do it. You plan vacations hoping it'll fix it. You think a break will save you. But it won't, because the break wasn't from work. It was from pretending. And the scariest part is, most people won't notice. Because the performance is flawless. No one teaches us how to come back to ourselves once we've gotten good at fitting in. There's no GPS for that return, no applause for that undoing. You don't become rich from it. You don't go viral for it. It's a silent journey with no guide. And it has to be. Because only you know what you buried. Only you know which laugh wasn't real, which passion was faked, which goal was inherited, not chosen. Only you know which moments could have been yours, if you hadn't been busy becoming who you thought you had to be. And still you long to be whole. You romanticize authenticity like it's some final form. Like one day you'll wake up and just happen to feel entirely aligned. But it doesn't work that way. Alignment isn't something you find, it's something you notice. In moments, fragments, quiet flickers. You feel it when you cry and don't apologize, when you say, I don't know, without shame, when you choose rest without needing to earn it. You feel it in the freedom to be boring, ordinary, unproductive, without guilt. You feel it when someone sees your flaws and doesn't lose interest. That's when something in you says, maybe I can stay here. But staying there is hard, because the world pulls. Expectations scream louder than your own voice. Your feed reminds you what success should look like. Your mind replays every moment you disappointed someone. And somewhere in there, the ideal self raises its head again, polished, powerful, admired. And you're tempted to go back, to chase, to perform. Because at least there, you know the rules. But deep down, you also know that peace won't come from finally becoming them. It'll come from finally being allowed to be you. You don't need to become impressive. You need to become real again, which is scarier. Because real isn't always likable. Real isn't always confident. Real isn't always right. But real can breathe. And when you can breathe, suddenly life doesn't feel like a test. Your value stops swinging with your output. Your worth doesn't vanish when you're quiet. You don't have to constantly prove you're healing or winning or growing. Sometimes all you have to do is exist on that day, and that's enough. And when it is, the war begins to lose power. You'll still hear echoes of who you thought you'd be by now, of who others still expect you to be. The ideal self doesn't disappear, but they lose their grip. They stop being a ruler and become a reference. A reminder of what mattered once, not a mandate of what must be. And you slowly, gently, begin to rewrite the story. Not erase the parts that wanted more, but include the parts that just wanted to be held. You begin to prefer honesty over admiration, silence over spectacle, depth over display. You don't post everything, you don't explain as much. And weirdly, you feel more known. Because it's you now, not the version, and you're not alone. So many of us are stitched together by roles we never chose. Personalities we constructed in survival, smiles we learned in fear. But beneath it, still beating, is something unbroken. Not searching for perfection, just permission. Permission to be seen without being solved, to be known without being filtered, to be held without the need to be better. Maybe that's all we ever wanted. Not to become our highest self, just to be allowed, finally, to come back. And if you're feeling that ache, the not quite rightness of the life you've built, don't call it weakness. Don't call it failure. It might be your soul remembering, whispers of who you were before you traded safety for approval, echoes of the daydreams you buried to make room for realistic plans. Traces of your truest self, asking if it's safe to come out again. So if nothing else, carry this with you. The war inside you isn't because you're broken. It's because you're still protecting something sacred underneath. And maybe that means you haven't lost yourself at all. You've just been holding your breath too long.